Hello, 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 Coach. How are you? How are you, Ms Mathapelo Mokatsane?
Hey, thank you so much, Coach Bongani. And awesome. It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon, a bit chilly, but hey, what can we say? We're still in the midst of winter. It's part of the season. What else can we say? I'm awesome. I'm good. Thank you. And how are you?
I'm great. I'm great. And how are you? I'm excited that you're in my channel called Wisdom Revelations Coach, and it's nice to have you. Today, Coach, we have a very interesting topic, Coach. Knowing thyself and connecting with your intuition. Coach, previously we had a long, I think it's a 3-hour discussion on knowing your intuition and listening to your intuition. From our previous topic, Coach, our discussion, you said, intuition comes everywhere you are. You don't have to sit and be still. And I experienced that while I was joking that, my mind was busy, my thoughts were coming through. With regard even to this channel that I'm doing, it came through while I was joking that this is something that I need to do. And you also confirmed it when we have a discussion that maybe I should do something like a channel interviewing people. And you know what, Coach, you were on spot on. So, so Coach, for our listeners, Coach, who want to connect with their intuition, Coach, where can one start?
Okay, let me start by introducing myself and how I got to, in a way, be able to connect with my intuition and was able to help you do the same as easy as I was able to. My name is Mathapelo Mokatsane. I'm an empowerment coach and speaker. And me and Coach Bongani, we are classmates. Yeah, we're both in the same class.
Yes, Coach.
And yes, and I, for the longest of time, I think I've always been open to my intuition. I just didn't know how. I didn't know how I was able to do that, but I was just able to do that. And so, in a way, when you think of spiritually, we have all these faculties within ourselves. We have this inner knowing. We have this inner person within us who is always conversing with us. So, depending on your religion, however way you want to call this person, whether it's your higher self, whether it's God, whether it's your intuition, whether it's your psychic abilities, it doesn't matter. We do have that communication with the higher forces, higher realms, where you can tap into information that is not readily available in our 3D world. It just happens. The question is, how in tune are you with those faculties? All right. So with me, like I said, not only does it are you able to tap into when in your wake state, but you can also tap into that knowing in your sleep state. So normally there's good dreams. So you got a lot of people who are able to tap into that realm while they're sleeping. So I'm one of those people who've always been able to dream, and lo and behold, I find that my dreams actually do come true. So it's more like information sometimes that I would receive. But for the longest of time, I didn't know how it works. I didn't know what to do about it. So, and then I obviously over the time trying to figure out what this is and how to work with it. What is it that I need to do with it? I tried a whole lot of other modalities of trying to connect with my intuition. But as I was doing all of this study, especially with myself, I also found out that most of my questions as well would also come. Let's say I would have asked myself a question, doesn't matter what it is. And I would find answers. Answers will come through in ways that were not necessarily conforming to somebody else's way of connecting. So a typical example, we always try to help people to meditate, right? So to say that when you're in a meditation, when you're in that quiet space, you are able to get the answers to whatever question that you may have asked your inner man, knowing and trusting that there is a person there listening, and that person knows more than you do, and that person will be able to can answer whatever the question will be. And so with me, I found that I'm constantly conversing with my higher self. So, Now, when the question does, or when the answer does come, it would normally come when I'm in a state of semi-consciousness. So I'm gonna give you an example what I mean. So let's say you're washing the dishes. Half the time you find that you're not even thinking. You're in auto mode, and in that auto mode, because you're not engaging your conscious mind, right? You're open to receiving an answer, however way, shape, or form it comes. You may be in a shower, for all you know, you're taking a bath, or even jogging, like you said you did the other day. So I found out now that with me, it was more easy for me to tap into this realm, this information, this knowledge, without really doing a whole lot of other things that a lot of people need to get themselves into for them to be able to get tap into their intuition. So, and now it's something that I'm starting to help my clients as well with, like I did with you, to say that, you first and foremost, you need to relax. It's just as simple as that. But also, I think it's an issue of trusting that there is that kind of information, there is that kind of a relationship that you have with your inner self, where you can simply ask a question and not make it complicated. Just ask the question, the answer will come as and when it does come. Like I say, you could be washing the dishes, you could be doing whatever, that doesn't need you to think, and then there, voila, the idea comes through without you having have done anything complicated about it. So, and I'm glad I was able to assist you in that regard. So to a point where now, and I think with your last should I say feedback was that you were flooded with so much ideas, you didn't even
Yes.
you couldn't even
Exactly, coach.
you couldn't even sleep that you couldn't sleep that night because there's just a whole lot of information coming through. So I think first and foremost, that's how for me it started with now learning a lot about myself, now learning about I wasn't even aware that there's this type of a thing happening, because I've had it for so long that I thought everybody had it. I thought it was normal for everyone else, only to find out that no, that not everybody is able to easily tap into that kind of a thing as easily as I possibly could, and I'm just now in a way of just helping people make it easy. Don't complicate it way too much. Don't stress about it. The answer will come as and when it will come. The only question is, are you listening? Are you open enough to hear the answer? Are you open enough to listen to what the answer says? Because sometimes we also want to hear what we want to hear, and it doesn't always work like that. The answer will come when whatever the answer may be. It depends what you're going to do with that information. So yeah, that's how I started now learning about this whole subject of intuition and what it means and how to work with it. And for me, because we are always growing and evolving, even that understanding, even that the manner in which now you start conversing and engaging your higher self evolves in itself, So most people probably start by vision, like I say, where you dream, you see things, and they just as clear as daylight, they just happen. Sometimes it's about the ear. You actually are able to hear an answer through a voice, for example. I have a lot of examples when it comes to that in my own life, personal life, sometimes it's senses. So those kind of people, we call them clear, there's a psychic, they call them psychic abilities.
Okay.
If that's the word you choose to use. So whether you're clairvoyant, which is now with the eye, clear knowing, there's also that sense of also knowing, you just know stuff. You just know, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is, but somehow that sense of knowing certain things where you don't even know where they're coming from.
So, Coach, yeah. So, Coach, I think another thing that most of us are struggling with is about finding our purpose. There's so much noise in our head, and so there's so much noise with people around us by telling us, channeling us maybe to pursue a certain career, because if they look at you, say maybe you can be good in that career. Sometimes they say no, it's not about you, but it's about survival. There's money in this profession. Go there so that you could survive. And most people are stuck in the careers or in the jobs that they hate. Now, for someone who's struggling to find their purpose or calling, how can they use their intuition to find their purpose or calling?
Okay. Yeah, like I say, it's one of those things that, like any other, think of it as a muscle. All right. Like any other muscle, it needs to be exercised. to be strong and be able to help you and assist in the way in which you want it to be as healthy as possible. And like I say, all of us know within ourselves certain things that we just know. It's the thing is, because it's a subject that has always been a taboo. A whole lot of people have always been afraid to engage the subject of intuition, the subject of those psychic abilities that all of us have. But the point is, there are certain things that you know within yourself makes you happy. You know that there are certain things that when you do such a thing, it gives you joy. You know. And truth be told, we've been through an age called the industrial age, where having to wake up and go to work in a traditional way is what we grew up in, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So for me, it's about you knowing what is it that brings you joy, what is it that lights you up within you. That as and when you maybe start doing that, working in that way, the one thing that you would possibly call your purpose, your calling, you may not be able to, let's say for an example, be able to monetize it from the beginning, but you can start working towards doing that while you are in a space where you still need to do certain things that puts food on the table, where you still need to do certain things that keeps the lights on and a roof above your head, but while working on your purpose, and ultimately be able to transition completely into that space where your purpose now becomes your what you do on a daily basis. But the point is, and this whole subject of cognizance, that knowing, it almost sounds very unreasonable. It almost never makes sense to the next person, but the person that it comes through to, within yourself that this is the truth of who I am. This whole thing speaks to me. It speaks to me specifically. But like I said, because it's been a subject that has been a taboo in a society, it's a very thin line. It borders line around the subject of psychological problems. It borders on a very thin line, because your head is not working very well. But when you know something within yourself that feels true to you, you just know. And that is where now you need to start working with that knowing, start working with that information. And hence I'm saying, now when we start talking about, now you starting to have that relationship and engage in that, the only difference is, for me, is when that voice within you, when that knowing starts now, because that's where, from what I understand from a psychological point of view, is when that voice starts telling you to hurt people, that's where you need to be very careful. Then it means that's something else. But something that is now leading you to doing something that you love within yourself, you love it with all your heart, then you must start trusting that voice, start working in that path, start understanding. Because I'm going to give you an example. In my life, in a corporate environment, I've always felt off. I felt something was always missing. I don't know what it was for the longest of time. And like I said, because I was also afraid to go, deep within and find out what that was, I thought, there's just something wrong with me. I don't know, I just dismiss it all the time. But that thing was always there. It's always been with me. But unconsciously, at the same time, I was also helping people, irrespective, with the very same thing that I thought was not okay for me to do, which is so weird.
Yes.
Until now, where I'm now in the space of being a coach and helping people doing that full time, now I realize, oh my goodness, I've been doing this all my life. I just didn't realize that I was doing it all my life, where we're able to help people tap into that inner knowing, that I can't teach you how to do that. I can only guide you on how to start listening to that voice, start seeing or believing and trusting. Because truth be told, it's a relationship. For me, there's two of me. There's the inner me and there's the outer me. But I need to trust the person who's speaking to me. As an example, if I keep coming to you and asking for advice, and you give me, and I never listen to you, are you gonna want to give me advice next time?
No. Yeah.
There's gonna come a time when you feel like, you know what, when are you just playing with my time? Just leave me alone, right? It's the same thing. But the minute you start now, tapping into that relationship, you start trusting that inner man, whatever the higher self will probably guide you into something. Just trust it and see where it leads. Trust it and see where it leads. Ultimately, you're gonna start to be so clear that whatever intuitive leads you get, right? It's just very clear. You never doubt it anymore. You know what I mean? And so for me, it's always been something like for an example, how when we connected, when you called me, I mean, things just came out on the day.
Yes.
There's so much information that came through. Oh, there's so much information that came through on the day that even I myself, some information, I don't know where it was, I don't know where it was coming from, but it came through, and it was the most powerful 3-hour session that we had.
Exactly.
That both of us learned from that knowing and information. And the fact that I spoke about the collaborations, I spoke about this channeling that we're doing right now. It's like, wow, like, please don't ask me where that comes from. I don't know. It just came through.
And that was shocked. I was shocked. And there's something else that I would like you to share with our people. When we say, I think it's the book of Exodus, when God was sending Moses to, is it where? What is called that? To Egypt, yes.
Egypt, yeah.
To take the people of Israel out there. When we say, when Moses was afraid to go there, and God says, "Who am I?" And Moses tell them, "Is who? What did he say? Is who I am that I sent you? I am." Yes. Share with us the powerful of I am, because I think most of us, when we disconnect with our spirituality or with our source, that's where we miss the link of knowing who we are.
Yes. Oh, all right. Thank you so much. Hey, yeah, no, you're getting me now into another topic. But in any case, let me try now and answer it in the shortest and concise manner as possible. Okay, one of the things that I was doing as well, learning exactly that, knowing about myself, knowing who is this person that I keep conversing with, who sometimes gives me all that information. I came to learn, I encountered a whole lot of teachers along my way, and most of those teachers started teaching me about what that verse actually means. I am that I am. When Moses was having this conversation with God, telling him to go to Egypt and take the children of Israel out of bondage, and he asked God. God said to him, he asked God who. He said, "I am that I am." And that has been the one of the things that helped me to understand my connection with the higher source. Now, and I think a whole lot of us had been the truth of, okay, let me put it to you this way. How I learned what that means was, there's a teacher called Reverend Ike. He's one of the spiritual teachers that I came across on YouTube some couple of years ago. And how he explained it was that when God said I am, so what that means is that every time you say I am, we've heard it so many times in especially in our own should I say self-help circles, to say, every time you say I am, anything that comes after I am, right, it's what's going to happen. That's what affirmations are about. So when you keep saying I am strong, I'm lovable, those are the things that you're drawing within yourself. But now, however, I like how he explained it to me, was to say that God said, Moses asked him, who's your name? Who shall I say sent me? He said, I am that I am. So what he was saying is, my name is I am. And what that means is, every time you say I am, God stands up. And anything you're going to say thereafter, it's what God's going to give you. So you need to now, from this moment, be careful what you say after I am. Because most of us are in bondage, in the sense that we always have this thing of thinking that our adverse situation, adverse circumstances are outside of our control. okay, listen, there are certain things that happen, like, for example, this coronavirus thing. I don't know where
Yeah.
that comes from. I honestly don't. But most of the things that happens within our own lives is some things that came through our own mouth, through our own speech. Even Isaiah says, be careful what you say, because that's a word that you're sending. It will come back to you. Your word, you're sending, it's a messenger. It will come back to you. But most often we don't realize what we do to ourselves. And when things come back, you look at that situation, you're thinking, Bongani wan doya. Bongani is lawyering me. Not realizing that I'm the one, in a way, who bewitched myself with my own tongue. So anything I say, it doesn't matter whether it's positive or it's negative, it will come back to me. It shall come back to me, and it shall bring whatever it is that I send it to bring back to me. Hence, we say you need to speak life. You speak life into your own life.
Situation.
You speak life into your own world. Right? Who woke up the bones? I got the dry bones. Even God said, speak. Speak to the bones. So every time you speak, you establish that thing on earth. Every time you speak, you establish whatever it is, you put it, you literally pull it from the ethers and pull it and throw it. I am. You must be very careful what comes after I am. Because as of this moment, know that that thing is going to come back. It's either going to come back and hug you, or it's going to come back and bite you. Just know that. So for me, that alone just started, making it very a powerful statement for me to now learn to work with that. Learn to take back the power, because I think most of us, and hence for me, there's another statement that we always have as well that says, your world is a reflector of your internal world. Your outer world is a reflector of your internal world. So everything that you experience in the outer, in this realm, in this 3D realm, 90% of that is things that came from within yourself. Is those thoughts that you thought of, is those words that you put out. And when they come back, half the time, because we're so unconscious, when it comes back, you can't even recognize that you are the creator, or you are the attractor of that thing. That thing didn't just happen to fall in your lap for no reason. You actually drew it in your experience. A typical example, this right now, this very thing that we're doing, this very moment, I saw this thing in February 2020. Actually, now in December, I started having this collaboration thing since December. I think I was having a sense of feel that this is what I need to be doing in 2020, but I didn't see how, when, and how it was going to happen. And today's the 8th of August 2020, and here I am. And it just happened that you called me asking me about intuition, and one of the things that came out of that is this, voila, here we are. So for me, ultimately, it's about you really listening to that inner voice. So what I do, and this is something that I also gave you as something to do, start keeping a diary.
Yes.
Start taking that diary and start having that conversation. And one of the things that became very powerful for me, that made it now, I guess, easy for me to start listening to my intuition, was now also speaking to your higher self like you would another person, and in your own, for me, in your own personality, which made it even more, I guess, powerful, a subject for me to learn from. So what that means is, I'm going to give you an example. And this also something that came as an epiphany for me, while, in church, where somebody, when they pray, they want to scream, versus somebody, when they pray, the other one is crying, the other one is just quiet. But just because somebody else is quiet doesn't mean they're not praying. You know?
Yes.
And now you'll find that the one who's quiet, the minute they start screaming, they're actually not praying. They're literally just acting up, because it's not in them. It's not in their makeup to pray like that. So hence, for me engaging in my intuition now, it came through as that, to start now speaking to my higher self as I would speak to you, as I would speak to myself. Speaking to myself is still speaking to myself in any way. But the point is not try to make it as something that is outside of who I am.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You're a very humorous person.
You
You
know
can
me,
joke
coach.
with your
You
higher
know
self.
me, coach.
You can joke with your higher self, you know, because I also love him like
Yes.
when I'm a man, you know, the things you say, I laugh all the time. I laugh at myself, the things that I hear, the things that I see, I'm like, what is this now?
And I embrace that.
But
That's who
that's
I
an
am, coach.
exactly. And then the more you embrace it, the more you know, you engage your higher self in that perspective. My Lord, you will find yourself laughing the whole day.
Yeah,
People will be
yeah.
looking at you and they're like, Bongan, ay, may bra, looks like, hey, things are, hey, not knowing that you're having this conversation with this person, and this person is
Exactly.
answering the way he's
Exactly.
answering, and you are hearing him very well. You're not hearing him from my
Mm,
perspective, you're
mm.
hearing him from your perspective, and
Perspective.
that's the point. For me, God's creation is so perfect. I mean, he literally created himself in all of us, in all creation, in as
Mm,
different and as unique as we are.
mm,
That's
mm,
why
mm.
trying to copy each other, trying to be like each other, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
It doesn't make
yeah,
sense because
yeah.
if God wanted me to make me like you, he would have made me exactly like you, but he didn't.
Exactly.
He
Exactly.
made me to be me, the manner in which I am, and
Mm-hmm.
that is the way he wants me as opposed to now also have that relationship with him,
Mm,
converse with him in my
mm,
own personality,
mm,
in my own mannerisms, in the way in which I engage with him every day.
mm.
That's how it's supposed to be. Not do it like what somebody else does. Like
My,
in my case, I can just guide you
mm-hmm.
how you do that, but further than that, it's your relationship with God. That's how you need to develop it further than that.
Yo, coach, we are talking about something very important here in critical. That when I compare myself with another person, it means that I'm getting to be misaligned and I might not hear from my intuition because God can't find me there. I'm
Yes,
not myself.
yes, yes.
Then
You are absent.
intuition means you have to know thyself so that you could
I'm
hear
going to make
from
an
your
example.
intuition.
Exactly. I'm going to make an example. I've learned that up to this point, so far, I've learned that we've got about 8 psychic abilities, right? That we
Mm,
have. So it's your third eye, it's your ears, it's your feelings. There's so many ways in which you can tap into your own knowing and understanding, right? And let's say, for an example, you are more strong in your visions. Visually, you're very strong,
mhm,
but you're still not all that strong when it comes to the ear, which is something that you can develop as you go on. You can develop how your senses, you feel where the energy, you can sense energy around you and those kind of things.
mm,
But now, one time you ask a question, God answers in a manner in which he knows very well that you're very strong visually. But here you are insisting that you want to hear the answer.
mm.
And he's already giving you the answer by the manner in which you are able to see the answer.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you're so focused on hearing that you're missing the point. You're missing the answer. The answer is right in front of you. You know what I mean? So,
Yes.
like I say, it doesn't mean that you cannot develop all other faculties. You can, and actually you should. That's my
Mm,
point of view. You should, but you should continue in using the ones that you do have. You know what I mean? You should be able to
yes.
can still, tap into all your other psychic abilities as and when you grow older, you grow up, spiritually, you grow up in that relationship. God will guide you, however way, shape, or form. He will always guide you.
Mm,
Sometimes, I mean, you hear the voice saying to go to ShopRite, you ask yourself, what am I going to do there? And
yeah.
then you go there and you find somebody that you probably haven't seen for a long time, or whatever the case may be.
Mm,
We've had so many
mm,
stories and incidents of somebody coming out, wanting to go, and they just cannot get out of the house, only
mm.
to find that there was an accident that happened along the way where they could have, possibly gotten into that accident, and by God's grace,
Yes.
they were just delayed. And that is just you following of, going with your intuitive nudges to say whether I should go this way, go that way, and do those kind of things. So,
Mm,
but for me, it's one of the elements of knowing yourself. So the subject of knowing thyself is huge. It's humongous,
mm, mm,
and for me, it actually started just briefly. When I started last year as a coach, I had to start taking my own healing very seriously. I mean, up until last year, my mother had passed about 20 years prior. and I actually never cried for the past 20 years. In fact, I was so adamant from running from my grief that I did everything in my power to run every day from my grief, thinking that it was something wrong. You know, there was something wrong with me having to grieve, by the way. And yeah, my day of reckoning came. I had to sit down and face this thing. I had to sit down and face this thing and realize that, you know what, I've been running there. I've been running 20 years is a very long run. Even myself, I'm tired, you know. And literally within, say, close to about 5 months or so, and for that 5 months, I was crying almost like 24/7. Like I was so ready. I was so ready to get rid of everything else that was clouding my judgment in so many ways. And now speaking to intuition is also one of those things where you find that you're not even able to can hear, see, smell, touch most of your answers as well, because you've got all these other things that are clouding your intuitive, you know, knowing and senses, because there's just too much pain, there's just too much doubt, self-doubt.
Yes.
There's just too much self-hate, self-loathing, you know, self-condemnation, so many things. So I had to heal myself from scratch, literally through the grieving process. And lo and behold, I realized there was actually way more than I needed to do, you know, in terms of healing that self-love, doubt, so many other things that one needed to also, you know, learn to heal. And healing is a process, by the way, it never ends. But the point is, within 5 months, I found myself in a so much better space that I even started behaving very oddly, even for myself. You know, I used to call myself a Spirit Gonzalez, or simply put, I never sit still. Suddenly here I am able to just sit and not do anything, without a phone, without a TV, without anything to distract me from that moment. I started taking in this thing, and I found out on the day I realized that, oh my Lord, goodness, here's somebody else coming up that I don't even know. The person who can do all of those things. Who is he? And that's when the subject of knowing thyself started to become very serious to me. Like, wow. If I'm able to have in this moment, this man now, what more do I still can do, be, and have? And I realized, oh my God, there's so much in us that we don't know, but it takes us to start engaging ourselves in so many levels, start engaging us in so many ways that it just transform. You become a different person. Transformation it's never easy. It's very hard, but it's something that when you do get into it, will, geez, man, you walk out of that space and you're a totally different person. The fact that I can sit and do this interview, it's you have no idea how much of a plus that is for me, because in the former version of myself, you would never pay me enough money to do this. I would not do it. Why? Because I was like, I didn't think that I had anything to say, let alone have anyone listen to what I had to say. You know, so it's a huge subject. But for me, like I said, it's a huge subject. So intuition is just one of those subjects that played the biggest of roles for me, because it's something that I've always had. I just didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to work with it. I didn't know how to engage it until such time that I was forced to engage it. I was forced to actually stop and listen and see. And I'm like, something is happening here. Somebody's actually talking to me. Let me for once just listen and stop running. Just listen and stop playing dumb, you know?
Wow.
And it opened up so many doors for me. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So it's something that I'm very passionate about as well, to help people, you know, tap into their knowledge, into their inner knowing. Right? It's a very interesting subject and very exciting. Yeah,
Coach, there's another element that I like to bring: our feelings or our emotions. I remember being in this scenario when I was attending this church. Maybe I was attending for 3 years, and the fourth year, I had these strange feelings. I was no longer excited. I knew that something was wrong, but I don't know what. In the morning, I would wake up being excited that I'm going to church, but when I'm there, I'll just freeze. I'll never feel the Spirit of God, but I'll see people jumping, and I'm asking myself, maybe there's something that is wrong with me. So what I'm trying to ask is now, how do we use our feelings together with our intuition if maybe there's a message that needs to be communicated to me to notice what is going on around me?
Yeah, that's also part of, for me, it's also, it speaks still to intuition. And with the same with you, by the way, I also went through quite a few, well, in terms of spirituality, I also had my own journey where I went to this particular church, and obviously when you go in there, you're excited, all is fun, and then there comes a time when that thing just goes away, and I had to go and leave and go somewhere else. And from when I look back at my own life, in my own journey, I believe that was my intuition leading me, where, and for me, it feels like it was more about my own inner man feeding, of the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding, the information that I was getting from this particular source, if you will, And when the time came, just like that way, exactly like now, I'm no longer excited to go to church anymore. I feel like, now, today I'm not going, and then the next thing you know, you're not going to church every day. And then you are led now to go somewhere else and then go to this particular church. That's how I see that I was led to get to where I was. Because now, today, I see myself applying most of the knowledge that I learned in that entire journey. Initially, you feel guilty because you don't want to go to church. Initially, you feel like, maybe there's something wrong with me, like you just said now,
Yes.
But for me, I feel like there was a time where everything has a time, everything has a season under the sun. So there's a time for you to learn, and there'll be a time for you to apply that knowledge into your life, which now it finally becomes wisdom. So I believe for me, I believe it was just my inner man, just leading me to those places, to those spaces, to learn, to where now I'm able to can help the next person today, where I'm now able to can impart all this information or knowledge on the next person,
Okay.
So it's not about, it's for you understanding why you are there, I remember myself, the last time I went to a particular church, I found myself literally arguing with the pastor in my head. Whatever he was saying, based on the scripture that he read, I was like, no, that's not how it's supposed to go. This is not what you're saying. And then for me, it was a typical indicator to say, no more coming to this church. Because now you're sitting here condemning,
Yes.
condemning for the next person. It may not be relevant for you anymore, but it's still relevant for the next person. So I had no business sitting there and now condemning the man of God in my head and saying, what you're saying is not correct. I had no business being there. So, and that for me was an indicator that enough is enough. So it takes you to now know when the time is right for you to leave. Where, like I say, because you've got 8 psychic abilities. Like I say, it's telepathic. There's also the telepathic. Remember, you can engage somebody in your mind. There's the ear, there's the eye, there is the feelings, where I can just sense the energy in the room. There's a feeling where I can sense your emotions. There's so many ways in which our intuition speaks to us, in dreams. So it takes you to know where your strongest ability is. There's also cognizance. Cognizance is the knowing that I was saying, or even getting information that is just not readily available anyway. You just know something. You just know. And you don't even know how you know. You can't even explain how you know. You just know, right?
Yeah.
So it's those kind of things. But when you're in tune with yourself, when you are in tune with yourself, you will be able to decode what that message is. And there's another thing with intuition, because it's not always clear cut, straight, go here, go there. It's sometimes it's like literal breadcrumbs. It's almost like your higher self is dropping breadcrumbs along the way, and you have to pick them up or follow that route up until such time you get to know and see the whole bigger picture. It's not always that he give you the bigger picture. He give you just one little bit that you can now. Usually, sometimes it's one thing leading to the next thing. So you need to now get this one here, get the concept, put it together, and then the next clue will come along the way for you now to incorporate in what you've already started, you know?
Okay.
Like I say, I mean, for me to be here, this whole thing started back then. But it
Yes.
didn't start then. It started even prior, before then. When you think about it, because I had to go through my own healing process. I had to go through now at the point where I'm now coaching people, I'm helping people, I'm standing, you know, it started somewhere else, and I started now into speaking, and then in that led me to now getting into this thing, and then that led me to get into this thing. So when you realize, you look back and like, oh my goodness, I've actually been, I'm not here by mistake. I was following something, I'm following some instruction where whether you're aware of it or not, but I was following some instruction, and this led me to where I am today.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have met you, by the way. Like, hello. I wouldn't know who you are.
Yeah, it's true, coach. It's true.
Nor would you know me.
No, I wouldn't, coach. I wouldn't really.
You wouldn't.
Yeah, I know.
If that thing didn't say to you, you must go and see our coach.
Yes, right? Yes.
Same here. I would not
It's
know
true.
who you are if I had not listened to that voice on that particular day when that voice said, "Hey, this is the time, this is the moment."
Yeah.
No more running, by the way. And in fact, I should have gone in to see her. This is Busisi Lisho, by the way, guys, our coach, our international accredited Manu coach.
Manu coach,
we're talking about, yeah, coach, you are severing you. We're talking about you. I should have went to see her, I think it was 2016, which I totally ran away from, very, very far.
Okay.
And last year I was forced to see her. Last year I had no, that day, that's when, you know, when you know now my intuition is speaking to me. Yes. When she was standing right in front of me. And I knew that it's without knowing. You know, that when you come into the knowing part, you say, yeah. By the way, I needed to go and see this woman 3 years ago. Now here she is. Whether I want to admit it or not, the time is now. I can't run anymore.
Great.
I can't run away from this obvious thing that is happening right in front of my eyes.
Yes, coach.
So it was almost like God went and fetched her forever. She was like, I'm going to put it in front of you, and whether you like it or not, you're going to have to do this.
And here you are, coach. Here you are.
And here we are. And here we are. So, yeah, it's a very interesting subject for me. It's a very intimate subject for me. I've lived by it, knowing and unknowing, and it has led me to so many places and so many beautiful experiences.
We thank you, coach. So coach, in wrapping now,
Lord.
Can you give us maybe some few practical steps that one can take to fine-tune our intuition, where one can start?
Okay. One of the practical tools that I give, first thing, start keeping a diary. That's number one.
Okay.
And I always tell my clients, don't complicate your diary, please. Just talk, have a conversation. Start engaging your higher self. If you want to know who he or she is, depending on what you prefer to call him, her, or it, the choice is still yours. Point is, you start engaging your higher self, start engaging this inner knowing. You start having a conversation, start keeping a diary. And keeping a diary also now includes you starting to add a whole lot of other stuff. So you might have, specifically, it's record keeping. The beauty about it is that you're able to go back a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and you'll be so pleasantly surprised to see how much of what you're living today is in the diary. A typical example, this which I'm doing now is actually in my diary in 2016. I'm like, what? I never even saw that coming, you know?
Wow.
But the point is the fact that you're keeping record of your inner knowing, that voice, that dream, that vision that you saw. You put it in your diary and allow it to evolve. And then not only that, you also engage it. So you engage it in questions. Because often your higher self would answer your questions, but preferably it is empowering questions. not disempowering questions. A disempowering question example is, why me? Why is this happening to me?
Okay. Yes, yes. No, it
Rather
is.
say, what am I supposed to learn from this?
Mm,
An empowering question would be, you brought this experience into my life, God. What is this? What would you have me learn from this? What am I supposed to do with this information? You just gave me information right now. Maybe you heard something, whatever. A name, Bongani.
yes.
Okay. So who's Bongani now? What am I supposed to do with Bongani? Write it down.
Mm,
Leave it. The answer will come.
wow.
And be open. Then the next thing is just to be open to the answer. Yes, you can engage the answer, let's say, in a meditative space, right?
Yeah.
Where you can possibly put yourself in a very subliminal space, or while just subliminal again, like I say, because you can be in that space while you're washing your car, you're washing the dishes, you're in the shower. The answer might come in a place like that. Listen, take that in, put it also on paper, go put it in your diary. You'll be amazed at how that answer links to the question that you asked 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, that you didn't even realize that they're linking. And then as time goes on, you start seeing how this thing develops. Sorry, my phone battery is getting a bit low. And this thing now starting to develop in itself.
Yeah.
And yeah, the next thing you know, you've got a whole blueprint of your life. Like, wow, I didn't see this happening. There's also a saying, there was one chat I used to have growing up. There's a saying that says, we live our lives forward, but we understand it backwards.
Wow.
So, so your diary, it's one evidence where when you look back, you'll be like, my goodness, now I understand how I got here. If in case you were not, you were not aware or taking note of how you got there, you will have record in your diary to say, oh my goodness, I didn't get here by mistake, if you will. I was following some inner voice, and here I am.
Oh, I was saying another thing that I took from our discussion is you must make time to be still. Shut the radio, everything, just be still.
The thing is, yes, the inner knowing, that voice is never always too loud, right? It's a very still voice, still knowing, still whatever. Hence, I'm saying that half the time, when the answer comes, you'll be in a state where you're not engaging your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is very loud because you're all constantly thinking, right? You're thinking of the next thing to do, the next whatever, and not next and whatever else. But in moments and spaces where you're not really thinking, when you're not engaging your conscious mind, that's when your inner knowing, your subconscious mind basically is able to give an answer in that moment, in that space. But be open to that avenue. Be open to an answer coming like that. Because often we're thinking that the answer will only come when I'm sleeping in my dream state. Maybe the answer will only come when I'm now lying down and consciously saying I'm going into meditation. The answer can come anytime, anywhere, any moment. Just be aware that it can come. Awareness is key. Just be aware that that answer can come through any moment. And again, it can also come through, for an example, a TV program, for all you know.
Okay.
It can come through your friend calling. It can come through you being in a mall, in a shopping mall. You literally just ask a question and here's the answer on a billboard. You're driving past a billboard, there's the answer on the billboard.
My God.
So you need to be able to be aware of seeing the signs and synchronicities of what you are asking all the time. This comes everywhere. Speaking to somebody, like for an example, you're probably talking, like you said, you had that thought, that sense of doing these interviews, right?
Yes.
And it came out while you were talking, and I brought it up.
Exactly.
You didn't even say anything.
Exactly.
You hadn't even had the chance. You hadn't even had the chance to say anything about it. And there I was, I blurted it out.
You were my confirmation.
But it was a clear sign to you. Exactly. So it was a clear sign to you to say, no, then that means I'm on the right track. right? So just be open to seeing, hearing, feeling, sensing, knowing, however way, shape it happens, and allow it to happen. Allow it to happen. That's another thing. Allow it to happen. Because sometimes we block our answers or block our whatever because we're not allowing, and we're also not willing to receive. We're not receiving.
Hey, that one, coach, is a topic for another day of receiving.
Hey, receiving,
another day.
I know.
Another day. It's too deep, this one also. Yo. And coach, the last step about intuition, I think you touched on knowing yourself, who you are in Christ or in your creator. Because if you don't know who you are, it might be difficult to you to connect with your intuition.
Yes. One of the things that also became an aha moment through one of my teachers that I met, I think last year. Again on YouTube, his name is Bentino Masaro, very young man. Yo, in the video, he gave a statement that I will never forget. And that statement alone just literally made me, I don't know, just throw me in another world. Yeah, I'm still in awe of what it did, of feeling worthy, right? And he said, and his answer was saying, feeling unworthy is actually arrogant.
Whoa.
It's arrogant.
How?
I was like, wow, how is that arrogant? Because what you were saying is you feeling unworthy says that you are not created by the creator.
Oh, yeah.
You are saying that you are not part of creation. You are saying that you're not, the creator created something that he did not want to be here. Because feeling unworthy goes deeper than just not feeling worthy of this car, of this house, or that. It goes way deeper than that.
Yes.
And I like what you say, like, you know, it's sarcastic and very in a joking manner to say it's like you were created outside of creation and somehow you just fell inside of creation. You don't even know how you got here.
Okay, that's profound.
Like, where the hell you come from? Because now in that space, it also says that you are believing that there's more than one creator. And there's only one creator. So at the end of the day, it's until you know how much God wanted you to be here, does you know in yourself.
Wow.
I'm here. I came here for a reason. That is my purpose. I came here for something. Let me go and find out what that is and do that. Because I wouldn't be here if he didn't want me to be here.
Exactly.
For me, that's the pinnacle of knowing thyself.
Wow. I think this week I posted something on Facebook to say, when you compare yourself to other people, you basically invalidate who you are. It means that now you won't even recognize the gift and talents that are supposed to benefit the world.
And for me, you're also insulting God's. You're insulting God's creation because he knew what he was doing when he was creating.
My God.
So are you saying he was wrong?
No, he's never wrong.
He made you a spoon. You want to become a fork. So you say he didn't know what he was doing when he was creating the spoon.
It was like bored.
For what he was creating. What he was creating the spoon for.
Yo, yeah.
Because he knew why he was creating the spoon. When are you want to go and be a fork?
No.
Are you for real?
Yo.
So for me, the entire the whole point of knowing the self was made clear by that statement by Bentino Masaro that feeling unworthy is arrogant, and I recognize that in a way deeper level than I do now. To say, stop minimizing who you are, because that's you minimizing God's creation.
Exactly.
You're saying he was imperfect
My God.
in creating you. The
Sure.
one perfect, yeah, I don't want to say being, but yeah, for a lack of a better word.
Yeah.
The creator. You're saying he was imperfect in his creation.
No, he'll never be.
When he created you.
Sure. No, coach.
So why are you feeling unworthy then?
Yes. Hey, coach. It's because we don't know who we are. We speak negatively because we're taught negative things by people around us, the families. So we tend to believe in what they were saying. Then it makes us difficult to really believe in ourselves and see our own worthiness. Oh no. Oh no, my internet. Hey, my internet is dead.